Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. In today's video, we discuss the proper tie length as well as the balance of the front plate and the back blade. Whenever we post outfit pictures on our social channels, one of the most discussed things is the proper length of the tie. It's interesting to see all the different rules that come up, the do's and don'ts, and all the different opinions. And therefore, our video is here to provide some clarity for you so you can find the tie the right length that flatters you. The first thing to understand is the history of the tie. It was purely decorative and served no functional purpose whatsoever. So the only goal of it was to make you look good. Keeping that in mind, it's hard to argue that one thing is more correct than another. For example, if you look at the 1920s and 30s, most men would wear a vest or a waistcoat, and even if they wouldn't, their ties were rather short. They would either reach the belly button or sometimes not even that. Of course, they would also wear high-waisted trousers, so they might have impacted the length. Today, ties have definitely gotten longer, but the overall length of your tie is hugely impacted by the balance between your front wide blade and the back slim blade. Basically, you have three options. You can have the front blade be as long as the back blade, you can have the front blade be much longer than the back blade, or it can be much shorter. Because a tie has a fixed length, this balance really impacts how long your tie will be when it's tied. But that's not all. Other factors that affect the length are what knot you choose, what kind of tie you have. Does it have a thick interlining? Is it very thick? If so, it creates a thick knot. If you have a thinner tie, it creates a thinner knot, and therefore the tie is longer. Of course, these three variations can be worn either very short, very long, or just in the middle above the waistband. So as you can see, your variations are endless, and just saying, oh, tie your tie so the tip reaches your waistband or the buckle of your belt is much easier said than done. Before we get more into the length, let's look at the details on the different options and how they make you look. When your tie is overall very short, it provides you a vintage look, or in the worst case, it can make you look like a child. So keep that in mind if you like very short ties. Of course, if you're a shorter guy, you need a shorter tie, and to learn more about short men's clothing and ties, check out this video here. So when the wide front blade is much longer than the back blade, chances are that it extends past your waistband and it peeks out underneath of your jacket. That's visually distracting because people look down, and the triangular shape of the tie highlights your crotch, which is very disadvantageous. Because of that, we suggest not to wear a tie like that, but of course, each to his own. If you decide to go that way, a problem that you might face is that your shorter, slimmer blade is not long enough to get into the keeper. And if it peeks out to the side, it just looks like your tie is too short and you just got it from your younger brother. Personally, I don't use a keeper, but I also prefer to tie my tie so both blades have about the same length. That way, it looks a little more casual, a little more nonchalant, and it's a look that I personally enjoy. So, should you use a keeper or not? Well, traditionally, it was something that was used by people, but if you look at elegant men today, they oftentimes want that more sprezzatura feel with their tie, and they intentionally do not use that keeper loop in the back. In any case, you should never use Scotch tape or any other kind of glue because it just looks cheap. Sometimes you can also see ties where the back blade is considerably longer, and just like if the front end is longer, it dangles past your waistband. Because it's a little slimmer, it's a little less distracting, but in my opinion, it still highlights the wrong part of your outfit. Originally, this was a style favored by Gianni Agnelli, and he definitely popularized it. Today, you can see a lot of young men wearing it, but also some more seasoned chaps like Francesco Barberi's Canonico. Again, the way you wear your tie is an expression of your individual style, and there's no absolute right or wrong. What matters is that you do it consciously and that you can repeat it every single time. Another important element of the tie, besides the length, is the tie dimple. You can see me wearing here one right now. If you want to learn how to get it in your tie, please check out this video here. It works every single time, guaranteed. So what's the proper and correct tie length for you? Personally, I think it's best when the front blade and back blade tips are roughly the same length and they just reach the waistband of your pants. Now think about that for a second. Every pair of pants is different, it has a slightly different rise, and in combination with every tie being different, there are lots of variations. Some others argue the tip should be slightly longer and reach the buckle, others like it a lot shorter, some like it longer and past the waistband. I like the waistband idea because that way the tie doesn't peek out from underneath your jacket and it focuses the viewer's attention to your face because of the V shape of your jacket and the tie on top. If you always wear one kind of knot and all of your ties are about the same length, it's relatively easy and predictable how you have to tie your tie and how you have to start to get the right length you want. However, personally, I find that with the different knots I tie and the different ties I have, I usually have a range of different lengths. For me, that's shorter lengths for high-rise trousers and smaller knots, and about regular length for slightly bigger tie knots and pants that don't come up as high. Overall, I'm not a big fan of Windsor knots, that's why I avoid long ties, but if you like the half Windsor or the full Windsor, you will need a long tie, even if you're just regular height, if you want to have both blades be the same length. If you want to learn how to tie different tie knots, please check out our video series here so you understand what's going on. Unfortunately, most ties don't come in a general length, and so you actually have to try things out until you find out what works for you and what doesn't. It takes a lot of trial and error, and you have to practice, but once you know what length your tie is and how long it has to be with a particular knot, it's going to be much easier for you to get the tie length right. So what does it mean for the proper tie length? No one will win this argument because there is no absolute right or wrong. What matters is what you personally like. I think that most men look best with a back plate and a front plate being about the same length, ending just above the waistband. And if you want to have different ties in short, in regular and long, so you can get exactly the right length for the right pants you have, please take a look at our Fort Belvedere selection here. If you want to learn more about 12 essential ties that every man should have, or anything else related to classic men's style, please sign up to our channel here.